Okay, we've already talked about the sex chromosomes. We have 23 pairs of chromosomes. One of those pairs of chromosomes is the sex chromosomes. For females, this happens in fruit flies too. But in females, the sex chromosomes are two identical, well, with the same genes, two X chromosomes. And in the male, his homologous sex chromosomes are identical. He has an X1 from his mom, and he has a Y1 from his dad. Okay, so the female has an X1 from her mom and an X chromosome from her dad. So a sperm could have an X or a Y chromosome in it, but a female egg can only have an X chromosome in it before it's fertilized. So the important thing I'm trying to say is the X chromosome is much bigger and has many more genes than the Y chromosome. Okay, a gene located on either the X or the Y chromosome is said to be sex-linked gene, a sex-linked gene. Most of the sex-linked disorders, genetic disorders, are located on the X chromosome. And so because a woman has two X chromosomes, she's the one who's more likely to give a sex-linked disorder to the child. Now, male can give an X chromosome, but he can also give a Y chromosome. Now, sex-linked disorder genes show up more in males because if it's a recessive gene, a male cannot have a dominant gene on his Y chromosome to neutralize that recessive allele. So, but a female could. Let's say this, we're going to talk about it, that causes hemophilia. It's sex-linked. Hemophilia is where you can't clot your blood. You cut yourself and you bleed to death, unless some doctor gives you blood clotting factors, transfuses them into you. Okay, so a female with the H, a male with the little h would have hemophilia because it doesn't sex link to the Y, it sex links to the H. But a female could have a big H that would give her proteins that would make the clotting factors, so she wouldn't have hemophilia. So that's like a complete dominant gene relationship. So, but women can be a carrier because she can hide that she has the hemophilia recessive gene because she has the dominant gene on the other X chromosome, whereas a guy cannot be a carrier of a sex-linked disease because he can't have a big, completely dominant allele to make up for the recessive disease-causing allele. Okay, I forgot to push a button, sorry, so let me try to clean this up. So, X-linked genetic disorders due to recessive alleles on, of course, the X chromosome. So color blindness, some of you are colorblind, is because you have XY if you're a boy, and X has a recessive allele for color blindness. You can't see all the colors, distinguish all the colors. Muscular dystrophy, hemophilia, where you can't clot your blood when you get a cut. You keep bleeding. Male pattern baldness, so you get bald early on. Okay, these are all sex-linked recessive allele disorders. Okay, I really messed this picture up here, so let's go down here, and we're going to cross hemophiliac guy XY with a carrier woman. So let's do that down here. Okay, so what I say, a female carrier, she's XX, so she has a big H and a little h, is crossed with a guy that is a hemophiliac. Okay, so let's do the cross. So ladies, a Punnett square. There's a lady's gametes because of segregation during meiosis. And then here's the guys, X, H, and Y with nothing on it. So let's put these together. This is what the zygote will get in a cross between the two gametes. X, X. So these would be two H's. And then X, H, Y. And then X little HY. Okay, so what's the phenotypic ratios of getting a hemophiliac child? Okay, you have to have one with only little h's. So it looks like 50% chance that a child, an offspring, has hemophilia. Okay, this guy doesn't because the dominant gene saves the day, makes the protein that the little h isn't making. Okay, what if I said question one? That's question one. Question two. So question two. What is the chance that a boy, if born, will have hemophilia? Okay, so let's look for the boys. So look for the XYs only, right here and right here. So 50% chance. There's only one of the two that will have hemophilia. So 1/2 or 50% chance. Okay, then question three. What's the chance that if a girl is born, the girl will have hemophilia? Okay, so let's see, let's find the girls. That'd be over here. So only one girl would have hemophilia, X little h, X little h. X big H, X little h would be a carrier, but she wouldn't have hemophilia. So that'd be 50% as well. Well, if I ask you, what is the probability of producing a carrier? What's the chance of an offspring being a carrier? Okay, so who's carrying the gene but isn't showing that they have hemophilia at all. So that would be only the big H, little h person, which would have to be a lady. So I only see one person that has big H, little h. So that's 25% chance of getting a carrier for hemophilia. Okay, so here's some questions. Let's go through these. In order for a child to inherit and exhibit a recessive disorder, both parents must be carriers of the recessive allele. Well, that's true if it's not sex-linked. So, and if it's a recessive allele, which it is. So if you have a recessive disorder and it's completely recessive, it has to be, both parents must give that little a in their gamete. But if it's a sex-linked, now if they put sex-linked recessive order, then it's a different story. You couldn't have both parents being a carrier because only the female could be a carrier. For a sex-linked disorder, both parents could not be a carrier. The male can't be a carrier because he doesn't have two X chromosomes to be a carrier. He only has one X chromosome, and he can't have a big and a small allele. He can't have a on the same X chromosome like this. So if it's sex-linked, it's totally false. If it's not sex-linked, it's true. So I'd be careful how I ask this question. Okay, so if it's sex-linked, it's false because you can't have the male be the carrier. But if it's not a sex-linked allele, you'd have to get the recessive allele without the big dominant allele. You'd have to have both parents having the recessive allele in their gamete. Is okay, if you can't see this number right here, this number 8 is greenish. If you can't see that, then you're colorblind. And you would be, since you're a boy at Jesuit, all boys school, you would, if you're colorblind, you would have, let's say, a normal color vision. Little a would give you color blindness. So in this recessive, completely dominant recessive situation, so you'd have to be like this. That'd be your phenotype. I'm sorry, that'd be your genotype, to have a colorblind phenotype. If you were a lady, you'd have to have two little a's to be colorblind. It's more rare for women. So X-linked disorders show up more males because in terms of sex chromosomes, they're likely to inherit the recessive allele from their father. That's not true. They only inherit one X chromosome. And if that X chromosome has the recessive allele, then he has the disorder. he doesn't have a chance of having a big A to cancel that out, because sex-linked are to the X chromosomes. So that's what they call this, X-linked instead of sex-linked. So all you do is do a Punnett square with the female genotype and the male genotype, XX and XY, and you'll see that half the kids, there's a 50% chance that a child will be a boy. This is exactly like the explanation for what percentage of the children are likely to be boys. Okay, here's the cross. I did a Punnett square with this cross. We have a normal blood clotting man. We have a carrier woman who's normal. What's the chance of them having a child? Didn't say boy or girl, which will have hemophilia. So I did the cross, blah, 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 blah. And I only get one kid with little h, no big H. That's a boy. So it's a 1/4. 1/4 chance that a child will have hemophilia. If I said, what's the chance of a boy having hemophilia? Then you would look at only the boys, XYs, and that'd be 50% chance of a boy. If I said, what's the chance of a girl having hemophilia? So you look at the girls only, and you say, oh, none of a chance. What's the chance of a girl being a carrier? 50% chance of a girl being a carrier. What's the chance of a child being a carrier? 1 out of 4. Okay, so we have this cross again. There's the man, he's normal. Here's the carrier mother. Okay, I think this is the same one that I just did. What's the chance of a female child having hemophilia? Well, check the females. None. This girl right here is a carrier, but she doesn't have hemophilia. So 0%. 0%. Look. And if you look, if you have a male, there's half the males will have only a little H. The other one will have big H. So half the male, a male will have hemophilia. Okay, well, we can go back. Well, there's some chance, a 50% chance. The likelihood of male with hemophilia. This isn't worded very well. I would say the likelihood that if the child is male, his chance of having hemophilia will be 50%. It's a little tricky. X-linked recessive trait. Can I go from father to son? Okay, so here's the father. He has X-linked recessive gene. Let's do the woman in black or in red. Okay, so a woman is like that. Okay, so after Punnett square, this would be the lady, and there would be XA and X whatever. I don't know what that would be. I'm not going to talk about it yet. This would be X whatever. The father gave XA. No, these are the girls, so that doesn't even matter. Okay, let's do the boys. So, Y, well, he's not going to give it to these guys at all because he already gave it. So this would be X whatever, X whatever. So if he has a recessive allele on his X chromosome, he can only give it to the girls. He can't give it to the boys. Shh. So this is absolutely true. Okay, a pedigree chart it's like a family tree, but it follows genetic disorder throughout the generations. We signify which person in the family tree has a disorder. Then we can figure out if it's sex linked from the pattern or if it's just a recessive allele on a non-sex chromosome. And we can predict the chance of an offspring in future generation getting the disorder. So if a genetic disorder is on a sex chromosome, it's called a sex-linked disorder. If it's on a non-sex chromosome, it's called autosomal chromosome disorder or autosomal disorder. Now, some pedigree charts don't show the heterozygous genotype, so they don't show this or that. They have you figure it out, which is really kind of annoying. So on the test, I won't make it that tricky. I'll always show that. Okay, so we will not have any sex-linked traits on the Y chromosome. They're very rare, and I won't talk further of them. So they should have put the homozygous one on these as well. And they're using subscripts instead of superscripts, which is okay, I guess. Whoops. Made a mistake there. You can't have a linked thing to the Y chromosome. So this would be XR. This would be X. Then, okay, so we already know this. Nothing on the Y, though. Nothing on the Y. I don't know why they left that off. Okay, so here's our first pedigree chart. We have a female carrier. You can tell that the way it's shaded in. So she could be X. Let's just draw it like that. And the guy is healthy, so he has to have an A and a Y with nothing on it. Okay, so that's the parents. Now the family. Okay, now look at this. How many kids did this couple have right here? How many kids? You just count them from the ones that come off this branch right here. So one right here, a daughter. One right here, a daughter. This is not a son. It's a son-in-law, right? Because he didn't come off of here. So two daughters, a son, another daughter that didn't get married yet, and a son who's not married yet. Now, this boy, this guy has the disorder because, and he got it from his mom, so he has to be XAY. We know that. Okay, this girl has to be X, big A, big A. She got one from her dad and one from her mom. This boy has to be normal. So that's his. He has a big A from either the mom or the dad. I don't know. Okay, don't talk about him yet. Don't talk about that guy yet. This girl is obviously like her mom. X big A, X little a, as is this girl. So both these girls got eggs, were fertilized from eggs that had this X little a, and they got the X big A from their dad. And this guy, I don't know yet, because he married outside. He's not in the family until he got married. Okay, so look at this. Both boys got the sex-linked disease, and the father can't give it. So, can you predict what his phenotype would be? So these are boys, so they're XY, XY. And they both got the A from the little A allele from the mom. Okay, so I still don't know what this dad's well, I do know what that father is big X little Y, because he doesn't have he's not blackened with the disease. He's not filled in. Okay, let's see. So this girl is X X little A, so she doesn't show disease, but she's the carrier. This girl's XA, XA. Is that possible? Yeah. This guy has to be XAY because he doesn't have the disease. And this guy is XAY. So none of the kids got. Now, if they had a boy, the boy could be hemophiliac. But this boy was the 50% chance that didn't have it. Okay, so that's how you interpret a pedigree chart. What are the results of meeting generation 1? Okay, I can barely see this. So this is filled in. Okay. Okay, results of the meeting. Okay, that would just be the ones that are connected to that horizontal branch. Those are the kids. Okay, so we got 2 carrier women, 2 carrier boys. Everyone's a carrier. Okay, so this would not be a sex-linked gene. This would be a this guy is gonna be big A, big A. This girl's gonna be little a, because she has a disorder. I'm assuming it's recessive. I don't know for sure. Okay, so every kid's gonna be recessive. Have a recessive allele and be a carrier. Again, sex doesn't matter. The sex doesn't matter. So that'd be like A times A. Every kid's gonna be big A, little a. That's why they're all carriers. In generation 3, so this is generation 1. I guess they're calling the parent the first generation. And so in generation 3, who is the carrier for the Leo? Okay, so here's generation 3. So this guy's half full, so he's the carrier. then a girl would be the carrier too. So number 3 and number 4 only. This guy is not a carrier because he's totally filled in. So he's, I'm assuming, is recessive, complete dominance kind of situation. So this guy's A. This guy is big A. This guy is big A. This girl is big A. So there's 3 and 4 are the carriers because they're half full. In generation 2, who exhibits the phenotype? What phenotype? The disorder. Genetic disorder phenotype. I'm assuming this is complete recessive. They should have said that complete dominance. So, not this guy. He's not shaded. These are the carriers. They don't show the disease unless it's a dominant disorder. Okay, so only guy is number 6 that shows it. Okay, the other shaded, half-shaded ones are carriers, and if this is a recessive disorder, they don't have it. They don't have the disorder. They're just carrying. To erase that. Okay. Okay, in this one, they're purposely not showing the carriers. And we have to figure it out. So it's a little trickier. So it's an autosomal recessive trait. So it's not on the sex chromosome. So that's easier. Not on the X chromosomes. Okay? So this guy could be big R, little r, or big R, I don't know. So these two parents have one kid, a girl, who marries a boy. But they have one girl, one child. Okay, so she is normal. So she could be big R. Now she has to have little r because mom had to give her one. And then dad gives her the other. So still dad could be that or that. I don't really know for sure. But I know she's big R, little r. So she has to be a carrier because she didn't get that and that from her dad, or else it would be blackened in. So in generation 2, I know she's a carrier. So I should have drawn her like this, or they should have drawn it like that. Now the boy, let's see what kind of kids they got. Could the guy be a carrier? Yeah, he could be a carrier because look, he has to be a carrier because they produced a kid that was, they produced a child that was R, and one came from mom and one came from dad. So we know now that both 1 and 2 are carriers. They have to be. Okay, essentially this is the same graph that we did before, so I just copied it, the pedigree chart, and my thinking and all that. So again, they're not going to show me the carriers. So they're asking for, generation 4, who's the carrier? Okay, so the only thing they're not showing me is the half-filled things. So again, each of these has to have a little R because mom can only give little R's. This dad, I don't know if he's a carrier or not, but if he was like that or if he was like this, I don't know which one he is, but if he was a carrier, this would be big R, little r. This would be okay. Or big R, big R. It can't be little r because it's not totally blackened in. Okay, so I don't know which one of these is for sure, but I can say the same thing for this guy right here, number 2 in generation 4. He could be big R, little r, or he could be big R, big R. So I don't really know. Okay, these two guys right here have to be carriers. Because this guy has little r. Okay, so that indicates that both of them have to be carriers, but that's not what they're asking. Okay, so I know something about this kid right here. I know this kid is little r. Okay, I know this guy is little r. But this guy, what could he be? He could be either one again. He could be big R, or big R, little r. Because he could get a big R from both parents, or he could get big R and little r from one of the parents. Okay, so all these guys turned out to be, there was no little. Okay, since 3 of them turned out to be not little r, you probably would think that guy's big R, so that all these would be, you get a big R from one parent, you got a little r from another parent. So I know 4, 5, and 6 would have to be carriers because they got a little r from the parent. I know that these guys got a little r from a parent, so they'd have to be carriers as well. So I say all of them in period 4, in generation 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 are carriers. All of them are carriers. Why? Because they had to get a little r from their mom. They had to get a little r from their mom because she was totally, or dad in that case, because you have to get one allele from both parents. So if they're not homozygous recessive, and they aren't because they were shown as hollow, not having a disorder, they have to be carriers, heterozygous. So autosomal is not sex-linked, and dominant, I'm supposing, is completely dominant. um, gives you the phenotype, the disorder, the shadedness. So you could be big A, or big A, little a, and be shaded in totally. So who exhibits the phenotype in generation 2? All the shaded ones. That's daughter, the son, and the son-in-law. 2, 3, and 5. Okay, if an offspring does not exhibit a recessive trait, he could be two homozygous dominant, or he could be heterozygous. But since one of the parents does, one of the parents has to be a, little a, so he had to receive a little a from that parent. He had to get one of the alleles from one of the parents. So he has to be a carrier. So it's letter A. Okay, so a child from this cross exhibits a recessive trait. So the kid is A, so he had to get an A from mom and an A from dad. But the parents don't exhibit the trait, so the parents have to both be heterozygous or carriers. So both parents were carriers because each one didn't have little a. They don't show the trait. They have to have the dominant gene. And since each one gave the little a to the child, then both have to, because they don't show the little a, they have to be carriers. So letter B. Most sex-linked traits are recessive and located on the X chromosome, which means they're usually not only, but usually exhibited by males, because they don't have a Y chromosome to hide with the dominant A, capital A, to hide that little a. Okay, what's the genotype of female generation 1, 2? Okay, X-linked, so the dad has to be X, little a, Y. Now, the woman is not showing, so she could be a carrier, or she could be homozygous dominant. Okay, so which one is it? Well, let's see. What's her offsprings look like? Oh, here's a male carrier. Well, he could have gotten that. No, he can't get it from his dad. He gets a Y from his dad, or else he wouldn't be a boy. So, because this guy is X, A, Y, he got the Y from his dad, so he had to get that little a from his mom. So, the mom has to be this right here, a carrier. And a carrier is heterozygous. Okay, this is the same one as before. The question before. And what did we just say? We said the mom has to be X. And the dad is XAY. Okay, so mom's really a carrier. what's probably their son would exhibit the X-linked trait. Okay, let me read this again. If female 2-4, where is she? Right here. Okay, she's a daughter, so she has to be a carrier because she could have gotten, she doesn't show the trait, she could have gotten the X big A from her mom, and the X, she only could get X little a from her dad. So a man can transfer his little a to his daughter, but not to his son, because his son needs the Y. So we know 2-4, female generation 2-4 is XA, capital A, X little a. So what if she, if this female right here okay, so hemophilia is sex linked. I know it's sex linked, but let's show it for sure. I know it's X-linked recessive. So let's just prove that. Okay, well, it looks like it's the boys who are getting, it's the blacks that are getting full-blown hemophilia. The ladies are only carriers. So that gives a big hint that it's X-linked and it's a recessive allele, because it's much more common for a man to get the little a and be sick than a woman to get the little a and be sick, because she could have a big A to neutralize it. So look, only boys have the hemophilia. They even are showing the girls as carriers. They're not leaving it up to us to figure that out. So, yeah, so this be X A, X big A. And you can see if the girl gets it, she has the big A to counterbalance it, so she doesn't get sick.